Here. All right, we're recording, Ann. Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of So You Think You Want to Homeschool. I'm Paige Evanson, for those of you, for some reason, if we don't know one another. And this is my good friend, Ann Billo. Ann and I have been friends since like high school, middle school. When did we meet, Ann? Who knows?
We met in 6th grade, but we've been in and out all these years, so.
That's right. So Ann and I, we probably just got a lot closer as friends the more we kept multiplying. So I have 4 kids, and I'm going to let Ann introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to dive into the questions that I have on homeschooling. So Ann, tell all of our friends and maybe strangers who watch this, who are you? How many kids do you have? And then like what led you to homeschooling? And what do you do?
Okay. I'm Ann. I've been married for 20 years to my husband, James. We have 9 kids, and you heard that right, 9, 5 and 4, 9. We have 5 boys and 4 girls, and they range in ages from 24 years down to 23 months. And we have homeschooled from the second child, who is almost 20, is my oldest. So the oldest one is my stepson, and we have homeschooled from my oldest, Molly, down to the youngest ones for the past 11 years. We're going into our 12th homeschool year, and I have now taught every grade, and some grades I've taught multiple times. We started homeschooling back in, it was 2011. The summer of 2011, I think it was. No, 2009. I'm sorry, 2009. That didn't add up. So trying to get my kids straight. Who was the baby? I was pregnant with my 4th child at the time, and I had recently lost my job. And God just told me, "Hey, you wanted to homeschool. Remember? Don't you remember praying that prayer?" And when it's right in front of you, you're like, "Oh, I did, didn't I?" I love how he reminds us of those things. So I spent that whole summer pregnant with my baby that was only going to be, 15 months behind my other baby. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have 2 babies. That makes no sense. But we're going to do this. And I really spent this summer
with number 4 when you decided?
Yeah, I was pregnant with Aaron. He's number 5 if you count Jesse, but my 4th.
Okay.
So I had the 2 older girls, Molly and Shannon. They were in 4th grade and 1st grade going into. That's what the first grades that I taught. And then Gretchen was only 15 months old, and then Aaron wasn't born yet.
Okay.
And I spent the summer just hanging out with all of my mama friends that were homeschoolers, like learning all the things and just saying, how am I going to do this? Praying, and just trying to adjust to a new life of going from a full-time working mom to a at-home full-time mom with 2 babies and homeschooling two elementary kids. So that's what happened.
Well, did you meet any resistance from like your friends or family members? Because if you've come out of like the workforce and then all of a sudden you are making a drastic transition, which I feel like a lot of people are having to do right now and make tough choices, did you have any resistance? And granted, circumstances were a little bit different back then as far as choosing to homeschool, but did you meet resistance from your friends or family members when you made that decision?
Yeah, I definitely did. It was I was more of a people pleaser back then, and didn't not that that's a terrible thing to be,
Right.
But I was really more focused back then on what other people would think about me, rather than my own confidence and what the Lord told me to do. So I did. I struggled with that a little bit. It was definitely not a popular choice even back then. It's still not totally popular, but it's gaining popularity, thankfully. And I really did a little bit struggle with that, and I was great friends with my kids' school, with their teachers, and with their friends in school. So being that my kids had already been in public school for some years, and I had kind of built up some friendships on that side, it was a weird conversation to say, hey, we're gonna homeschool next year, and not that it was any reflection on them.
Correct.
because they were the ones who had poured into my kids. It was totally our decision and totally what was right for our family.
Right.
So, yeah. And then also from my family a little bit, it was kind of like, what, you're going to, is that allowed? Is that okay? And I had, it wasn't about a lack of confidence in myself.
Sure.
I figured, hey, I've been through 12th grade. What's the problem? Like,
Right.
if I didn't learn what I needed to know, then, but I'm not trying to teach physics or anything.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd be okay, but it was really the opinions of others that did. If I had any, obstacles to overcome, it was probably that the most of all.
It is really hard to make that decision when it goes against the grain of your sphere of influence that you're
Absolutely.
in.
Yeah.
Because you never want to make anybody else feel bad about that they're not doing something right or make them feel convicted
Right.
or anything like that. It just turns out it's a decision for you. And
Even in church, there were people that were like, well, I could never do that. And my answer kind of became, and I think part of what has grown me in that area of confidence is, well, I didn't ask you to do that. If God didn't ask you to do that, then don't. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm
just telling you what I'm doing.
Right. Right. That's such a good answer. So is there, like, there's all kinds of styles of homeschooling out there. And for those of you who have never homeschooled and don't know this for some reason, there's methods, so to speak. And I like to think of them kind of like personality types. And so what would you say is the method of homeschool that you have chosen, or have you changed throughout the seasons of homeschooling?
Eclectic. That's what shabby chic.
Yes.
I really am I'm a hand-me-down, refurbished, refinished piece of furniture that could be, if it's stained this way, it looks classical, but if I strip it down and cover it in chalk paint, then it looks a little more farmhousey. Or it could or I could totally varnish it and make it look modern. So really that's I don't have a style. I've thought a lot about that question over the years. I gravitate to a lot of it really is seasonal for me. I gravitate one way or the other, just kind of in the mood that I'm in and the way that I feel like God is leading me. And I don't think there's one best way by any means. I really feel like even in your own family, you need to find what's best for that child. And that can change. And it has changed over the years. There have been years where we've been very curriculum oriented, where we've really, I've bought into all the stuff that this one place offers, and we've done, all of that. And then there have been years where I've done none of that. And I've just done what we needed to do based on our budget, based on our schedule, based on if I'm pregnant or nursing a baby, or, and you really can't put a lot of pressure on yourself to find the perfect thing that fits every year. Because there really isn't going to be. That's the secret.
It's true. So now in your house, do you have like a specific area that you homeschool? Because I know, like, when I first started homeschooling, I'm like, this is going to be my homeschool room, and I'm going to have it all so cute and set up, and I'm going to have
adorable.
And adorable. All my little cubbies, and we're going to put each subject in each cubby, and it's going to work out so well.
And you're going to be so organized and so perfect.
And everybody's going to put their stuff back. So what does like a typical homeschool day look like for you, Ann? And how do you go about organizing 8 kids in their homeschool?
So our homeschool room, I would love it to be upstairs. The playroom upstairs would be the homeschool room, but we've never done like a whole day of school up there. And so it's usually the kitchen table. From day one, that's been it. Or at the computer, if we had a computer desk at the time. In our old house, we actually had a computer desk, so people would spend their time at the desk if they need to be on the computer. But now we have laptops, so those laptops come to the dining room table, And that's what we do. We get the books out. If we have books, we get the notebooks out, we get the iPad or whatever. If we're watching something that can be watched on TV, we watch it on TV and we sit on the couch. If I'm not feeling it that day, we might sit in my bed and we read, or we do our math lesson, or we do whatever we're doing together. So
I think the point is be flexible. It doesn't have to be sitting at a little school desk all day long. It can be outside. You can take it to the park or anything like that.
Sorry, I have a visitor who is trying to.
But that's perfectly fine.
Me right now.
Another thing, Ann, is like getting used to, you're going to have a lot of interruptions on a regular basis with homeschooling.
Yep. Even if you've been very, very clear about what you're doing and how you're doing it and what will happen if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you will still have your blessings coming to test your resolve.
It's all kinds of character building activities throughout the day. So is there, while we're still talking about like curriculum and sitting down doing your homeschool, is there a curriculum that you did like for your elementary, for middle school and high school? Are there some that you would recommend that you're like, you know what, during this season, and when you were having babies too? I mean, you feel like you've always been having babies during your career, but share a little bit about that, about what curriculums you've enjoyed and that have helped you.
Sure. Well, the starting point every year for my curriculum choice for at least the last 5 or 6 years has been my co-op. And I know that's not a thing that a lot of new homeschoolers maybe are familiar with, but often I will sit down before the year starts, sometime in the summer. Right now actually is when I'm doing it, and I'm looking at the choices that I have for the classes we can take at our co-op, and I will decide what each child is going to be doing. And then I build in around that. So they go to co-op 1 day a week on Fridays, and they each have 6 class periods of classes that we can take. And then, if there's a science class offered, or if there's a social studies or a reading class or a literature class, anything like that, or like an elective kind of thing, something more creative, I just build the rest of the week around that. So that's how I do it now. But in the past, some of my favorite curriculum have been My Father's World is a really good one.
Like all in box one.
Yeah, it's all a box. Yeah, it's a box set. It's considered a unit study. Okay. And it's based on it's heavily based on social studies and science. So you will read about whatever you're studying in social studies or science. In your literature. Whatever writing you're doing is going to be based on that, which is really a genius way of setting it up. And when I learned about that, I thought, why don't they do this in public school? How cool if you could just incorporate your whole day, based on whatever your social studies lesson is or your science lesson. So that's what I love about that.
All the way like up through elementary school. I use My Father's World like in kindergarten and stuff.
Yeah, there is a kindergarten. I believe that for kindergarten and first grade, they're standalone.
Okay.
But then when you get into, it might be third grade, second or third grade, you can use that for multiple kids up through like 8th grade, I think. So that's cool when you have a lot of kids, or you have, 2 or 3, and you want to keep them all in the same place with social studies and science. And then you're going to supplement your math or your language arts is going to be, differing varies of difficulty.
Do you have a math curriculum you have enjoyed, or which ones have you tried?
I've tried Math UC. I've tried teaching textbooks. Okay. A little bit of either, I think, Abeka. I don't think I've ever tried Saxon. But my current one and the one that I like right now, I'm unlocking an iPad right now for a child so that he'll leave me alone.
You're good.
Okay. Go that way, Nathan, and shut the, no. Okay, just stay here, but stay quiet. Okay. So you do what you gotta do.
Right.
So.
What are you currently liking?
So currently, thank you. I like CTC math.
Okay.
I'm
What's
totally
CTC?
fine with online math programs. CTC has been the best value for us
Okay.
as a large homeschooling family, because it's when you buy their homeschool package, you get unlimited number of kids and unlimited grades.
Wow.
You have access to all the grades. So from kindergarten all the, I don't know if they have kindergarten. They might have like first grade and up,
Okay.
but all the way through like calculus, if you're going to
Oh,
use
wow.
that. Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
good to know.
it's been awesome. And they always have a coupon code. So
Okay.
I'll find that and then I can send it to you and you
Yeah.
can post it in your blog for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, that would be great to send any coupon codes you have. Okay. What about, has there been like a language arts or a science curriculum that you've enjoyed more, or history that you think?
Um, usually we get lucky and we're able to do science at co-op, and we use Apologia.
Okay.
I like their notebooking.
Yes.
I think that's fun. I like that it's, you know, interactive and it really gives them a little more hands-on.
Hmm.
So usually we do science at co-op on Fridays, and then they come home and do the notebooking stuff during the week with me.
Okay.
Another good curriculum that I like when I don't have something already, like a textbook kind, is Answers in Genesis.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really like they have several different just like thin little workbook type ones
Right.
that are just, you know, the building, I forget what it is, like building blocks of creation is one of
Yeah.
them, and then there's like a physical science one, and I've really liked that when I just didn't have something.
Sure.
I am so like piece it together. That's
Yeah.
how I am. Like I just look at what we all need and
Right.
I do the co-op, and then I go, okay, I still need this, so let's do this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
plug in.
I think the best advice, my mother-in-law, and I know I've said this in other interviews, that every curriculum works if you do.
Yes.
There's not one that's like superior to another. It just, they all will work. You just need to pick the one and that you're going to stick with the most and follow through with.
Exactly.
So
It always comes up. Stuff rolls downhill, doesn't it?
it really does.
That's my motto with homeschooling. Stuff rolls downhill. And if mama doesn't have it together in the
Yeah.
morning, like as together as I am, is as together as I can expect my day to be.
Yeah. So kind of leads me to, what advice would you give to your younger homeschooling self? Like things that you know now, what would you have told your younger self?
Habits are everything.
Okay.
You
Love
know,
that.
this is a conversation you and I have had over the
Yeah.
years. Our habits are everything. And if we can just make something a habit, that habit will be my servant instead of me being a slave to my bad habit.
Yeah.
So
So good.
make yourself a good habit. And then after you develop that habit, stack another habit on that one, and then stack another habit. And then next thing you know, things will feel automatic. And
Right.
it won't be so daunting to wake up to a messy kitchen in the morning. You'll just unload that dishwasher, and you'll
Right.
just, you know, because really I really feel like my biggest frustrations with homeschooling have very little to do with the actual homeschooling part of it.
Right.
It's more about like household family management.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to those just starting out in regards to managing a large family and all of the dishes and the laundry and the cooking and the meals? I mean, that's a full-time job in itself. And now you've thrown in homeschooling on top of that. So what advice or tips do you have that go along, with, even, I love the habit stacking. You and I have been through many books, reading and audiobooks and stuff, learning about habits. And Ann and I talk on a regular basis, like, okay, I'm reading this book this week and this is what we're trying to implement.
Yeah.
So talk to that a little bit. Like, how do you manage and not like lose your mind?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is to not take it all on yourself. Number one, you're not the only one in the house.
Right.
You're not the only one who's capable of doing most of what needs done.
Correct.
So that's going to be number one. Number one rule of homeschooling is that it's a lifestyle. It's not an educational choice as much as it's a lifestyle. Yes, the education is there. That's what we're doing, and that's what it's kind of the guise of it. but the truth is it needs to become a lifestyle. And one of the things that I didn't say, because I was rambling about something else in my introduction, is that I also have a full-time job.
Yes, talk about that.
I work for Grace Family Church, and I have a 40-hour-a-week job in the outreach ministry. And I do a lot of things that require me to not be home a lot of the time. I have a lot of flexibility to be home that enables me to be able to continue to homeschool. But that also takes a lot of time away from managing my home, but it also forces me to delegate. So habits, delegate. And here's another thing, lower your standards. Yes. With each child, my standards in some ways had to get lower and lower. Does that mean we live like pigs? No, we don't. I still like my house to be healthy. It's not decluttered, but we're healthy, and we're in a place where I'm not embarrassed, for my good friends to come over and just see the truth of how we live. But I have lowered my standards, and perfection was never the bar, but it's definitely not what I'm trying to attain. And then in some other ways, I've raised my standards. And I've decided that there are things that I'm not going to compromise on. And those things are, being my relationship with God, my relationship with my husband, making sure that my children know that they're loved for who they are and how they are, despite their imperfections. And at the end of the day, I think learning those lessons is probably the most important thing that we can teach them.
Right. So since you're started working outside the home, your first few years of homeschooling, you were full-time home with the kids. It's only been like in this last year that you have started working outside the home. And I think it's important to remind, there's going to be a lot of working parents and homeschooling parents. There are ways that can make your day easier. It does require a lot of planning and a lot of scheduling in that regards, and delegating. But let's say somebody's got a kindergartner and first grader and a newborn, and they're still trying to do their job. What your kids, I don't want to lead anybody astray. Ann does have older children.
Yes.
And the older your kids get, the more they are able to help watch some of the younger ones. But if you're in the beginning stages, it is physically exhausting. And does your mother-in-law still come over and help out some?
Yes. Praise God. She's here right now. or there would be more than one child in here bothering me right now.
Right.
So number one, I know it's not possible for everyone to have that person who comes and helps you. But I think it's possible for more people than you think. It's not necessarily going to be a grandma, mother-in-law or mom or aunt or somebody. But I'm willing to bet that everybody knows one person who can come and help you 1 or 2 days a week.
Right.
Whether it's to do the household things, or to entertain the baby, or to babysit while you go do what you need to do outside the home.
Yes.
It's you just probably need to swallow your pride and ask somebody for help. Yeah. Don't be afraid to do that. And then, the other thing is, if you don't have somebody, or even just in the moments when you don't have somebody, you just need to use every minute wisely. I waste so much time doing stupid things still on my phone. My child from in the bathroom said, "On your phone." He's not lying. I waste so much time. That's my confession, on things that don't matter, right? And I could, instead of scrolling for 15 minutes, I could go switch over the laundry. I could go load the dishwasher. I could go sit with a child and read. And those things have so much more, and some to varying degrees, but those things have so much more value than me scrolling and fighting with people, or even not fighting with people, but reading people's stupid comments on Facebook. So
it's true. It's true. Do you find that having routines with your kids, of knowing, do you have like a morning, afternoon, and evening routine? I know that was one thing I wanted to do it didn't work out so well for me, but I want to know if it worked out for you. And do you have like a morning routine?
I'll let you know. Well, right now, this whole time of our life has rocked everybody's routine.
Yeah.
That's a good thing if you can do it. I aspire to have a routine, and there have been seasons where I've had a routine more than others. But you know how it is with kids, and you grow out of one routine and you have to grow into something new. Yeah, and that's a goal. And now that I'm looking forward, that's a hard question to answer right now because we're not really actively schooling, but looking forward to about 2.5 weeks from now, we're going to start school the second week of August. Okay. And routines are something that we're going to have. I kind of am schedule averse, like the word schedule, like I like it, but then I know how it makes me feel when I get off of a schedule, like I'm on one and then people don't comply and I get all mad and cranky and then I throw the schedule out. So definitely what works better is a routine.
Right. What tips do you have for homeschooling multiple children of multiple different ages? Can you speak into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to bundle as much as you can as far as whatever they're learning. Don't try to do 4 different science curriculums. Gotcha. Don't try to do 4 different history lessons or Bible or anything that you can do together. Do it. Like if you can get them all just within earshot of you while you're teaching, that's better. Do I really feel like we've overcomplicated education. Yes. In America or in the world. Like we put all these standards and all of these, like every little thing that the kids need to know by this age and this age and this age. And we really underestimate how much our kids learn from just the everyday and from very small windows of quality time. Right. So read a lot, read quality literature. If you don't know what that means, look it up. Or, I'm sure a lot of the resources that Paige has already shared with some of the other interviews that she's done can give you those resources. But rich literature, read the Bible together and discuss the Bible. Like those are things that work for all ages. When I get out of here, you can have ice cream. Go on.
What about do you have any? I remember listening to, I don't know all the time, but the Read Aloud Revival. Do you ever listen to that podcast?
No, but I need to.
Yeah, it's called Read Aloud Revival, and by Sarah McKenzie, I believe is her name. But she puts out a reading list all the time of like great books to check out from the library, and for each age group. So that's a great thing.
Oh, that's awesome! I actually have 2 of my kids. I'm looking it up on my podcast app right now. Here it is. It's green.
Can you see? Read Aloud Revival.
For everybody else, there it is, right there. First one, Read Aloud Revival.
Is her name Sarah McKenzie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sarah McKenzie. All right. So I'm subscribing to that. I love podcasts. That's another one of my tips. I'm sure Paige she's the one who got me addicted to podcasts. I probably listen to 3 to 5 different podcasts every day. Not always the same ones every day, but I scroll through all the ones this is just, Mama, the best advice I can give you is take care of you. Yes. Take care of you, not in a selfish way. I don't want to see posts about, I took care of myself by drinking a bottle of wine tonight. No, it's not what I mean.
That's right.
And I don't mean for you to lock yourself in the bathroom at bubble bath every night, or, that there's different levels of self-care that we're talking here, but feed your soul, feed your spirit, and you're going to be in a much better place to feed your kids.
Right. Oh, that's so good. That's so good, Ann. Because that was kind of my question of like, what do you do when you're losing it? Like when you're like, I'm sick of these kids. I'm sick of this husband, this house, all homeschooling. What has helped you? What do you tell yourself to kind of rein it back in?
My catchphrase is, I signed up for this. Okay. Now don't take that as like, well, you get what you get, or, you deserve it, or that's not it. It's not a negative thing. Yeah. I really need to make myself like a pros and cons list sometimes. Or maybe not even that. Maybe I just need to recenter my thankfulness, and realize that these little blessings are God's gift to me, that children are an inheritance. I just need to go back to the word and realize, these are little people that God trusted me with to raise and to love. And I know that sounds so Bible-y, so Christian, but it's the truth. And it really is. Like, I did sign up for this. I didn't set out 20 years ago to have 9 kids. That wasn't the plan, but that was God's plan. And I went along with it, and I said yes to the Lord. And did I think it was going to be easy? Well, no, I didn't think that then. And I know that it's not now, but it's good. And it's worth it. And there's nothing, there's no higher calling than to mother our children.
So what would you say has been like one of the blessings that has come out of your homeschool journey? Because I don't want anybody to think, oh, this is so hard and you can't do it. It sucks. And your house is a mess. Like, there are a lot of blessings, and sometimes we forget those. So what would you say is a blessing or an encouragement that you've gotten out of choosing to homeschool?
Well, I have 2 things to say. One, I'm past the end of the journey with one of our children. She has already graduated. She is in her 3rd year. Jetpack. She is in her.
Hi.
She's in her 3rd year at SEU, and she's going to get her communications degree in 2 years. And she is everything she's amazing. She's everything that I could have wanted for her to be and more. And I will gladly take credit and give glory to God for that. And knowing that she is a responsible, smart, independent, funny, free-thinking, free-thinking adult who is contributing to society in amazing ways, who loves the Lord. So that's one thing. Like, I feel like
you did it.
That's a huge, like, once you graduate your first child and you're like, okay, they're doing it. It's like, okay, I feel validated, right?
Right.
And then the other, so also something that I do enjoy with her, that I don't think I would have had if we had chosen a different educational, not as much as we do, is a very close relationship, and her sense of family, and
so great.
And just
this is homeschooling.
This is homeschooling. This is my life.
Homeschooling. I love it.
I think that that's always been our focus, and I don't think that having taken 8 or 9 hours away from their day and out of our house, would we have accomplished that for her and for the rest of them. Like, they have no idea,
and they have I don't want to give Molly away. Like, she's such a gem. She is such a gem. Okay, so in closing, because this is what happens with homeschool moms. Like, everybody needs you all the time. It's just how it is. But
or they don't necessarily need you. They just want to be right there with you.
Right there.
With their Lego heads.
Yes. So, Ann, what are you totally into outside of homeschooling? What's your jam? What's your thing?
My jam. Oh my goodness. Foster families. My passion is loving foster families, and that's my job. Yes. Like, half of my job is to love foster families in our area, and to just let them know that they're doing awesome work. They're doing really hard work that they signed up for too. And that the church sees them and values them. So that's part of my job that I get to do. God is so good to match my passion for that with an actual gainful employment. Right. So that's awesome.
Well, and I love, Ann, that you're able to do that, because there's been several years where you're like, I need a job, but I've got these kids. But in the Lord's timing, he brought you a job, and it fit all of the gifts that you were learning and the skills that you were learning through the season of homeschool. He's like, okay, now I have you prepared even for a job that I want you to carry in this next season.
That's right. And that's what I would say to anybody out there who feels like, how am I going to homeschool and do XYZ.
Sure.
Lean into the Lord, because he'll make things work out in a way that you never even imagine. I'm watching. That's really cool.
So good. Well, Ann, if someone wanted to contact you, what's the best way to reach you?
Oh gosh. Facebook probably.
Facebook? Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and tag me on Facebook.
That's right. We'll tag you in a post. All right. Well, thank you, Ann. Thanks for being my friend. Evan, thank you for joining us as well. It was good to see you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Paige.
I love your Lego man. So good. All right. Thanks, friends. Thanks for watching. And what's that, Evan? What do you say?
Yes, 2 faces.
Let me see your goofy face.
Show his face. He's got one face on this side.
That's
It
awesome.
looks like the Grinch.
Hey, that's another great little tip, though. Get lots of Legos if you've got little ones, unless you don't want to step on them. So
keep them in a room. Keep them all in one room.
All in one room.
You're not walking through them.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks, friends, for watching and for joining me. And y'all take care. If you have any questions, below, and we'll be sure to answer them as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.